Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Landy Lodge. We got a big round table of creators coming at you today, talking all things Final Fantasy VII. But before we can get into any of that, we gotta give love to the sages, the beautiful names you see on your screen over there. Shout out to Sapphire Pick'em, our newest sage of the lodge. And if you want to be a sage, just be a YouTube channel member. Links in the description. You guys know how it goes. It's all a bonus. I'm just happy you're all here. I see we got a load of you. I'm not even going to hold this back. We're going to dive right into this with this panel we got right here. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us today. We got Andy, Kitties, and Land's little congregation of legends here. How's it going, guys? Are we recovering okay from that FF7 trailer? I think everyone was hyperventilating a little bit based on a few things. No?
No, I start hyperventilating every time I think about it again.
I could not walk for the rest of the Game Awards after this trailer came out. I couldn't walk.
We were watching Landy stream while we were supposed to be watching the Game Awards, actually. That's what we were doing.
Well, it's funny. And we had your stream pulled up too, so we were watching you. Watch you. So we were all kind of just like waving at ourselves through.
I was like, oh, caught in 4K. Got me.
But I'm like you, Lance. The second that trailer dropped, that was it. I pretty much stopped watching the Game Awards. Just kept replaying that trailer. I read the interview that dropped. You know, no shade at the Game Awards, but that's what I showed up for, and that's what I got.
The only other thing I cared about was if there was going to be a FF9 remake trailer, but I was pretty pessimistic we were going to get that, so I just kind of my thought was solely on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah, that's our Badlands. We were playing some Crash Team Rumble before the Game Awards, so we kind of jinxed FF9 not being there.
We win this match. FF9's coming out, and every time we said that,
we lost every match. Everyone is like, yeah, so that's our bad. Sorry.
Sorry, he says.
All right, so where do we even begin? Like, do we talk about the Zack of it all, the Aerith of it all? Where do we begin here? Because there's a lot of rabbit holes we could fall into right now. Where's our heads at? I mean, Kitties, I know your answer, but
you know where my head is.
I would say you're over there with Zack. What about you two goons?
I really think. Here's what I think. I think a good amount. Honestly, most of base Final Fantasy. Not base, but most of OG FF7, I think it's all going to happen.
Absolutely.
I think it's all going to happen.
Absolutely.
And I think the other timeline is to give like a additional narrative on how we get there.
Mm.
And I think
that's going to be some meddling involved from Zack and Aerith. To help Cloud's timeline follow the events of the original game. That's what I think.
Yeah, because Sephiroth is trying to do something different this time around. Maybe. That in my head, that's what I think, right? If he's aware of the events of Final Fantasy VII, and he knows that. Spoilers, since we're here, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. So if you're trying to avoid FF7 OG spoilers, go home. Go home.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah. You can go to some other lodge down the road. Okay, so killing Aerith obviously did more harm for Sephiroth than good in the long run. You know, she was able to use Holy in the live stream to stop Meteor. And so I'm just where my head is at. What I can't get out of my head is whatever you brought this up during your stream while we were checking you out. You were like, dude, the whispers are circling behind her in the Forgotten City, during that scene. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't know what can happen. I'm still a believer in the potential merging of the timelines. What if Zack sweeps in and saves the day? But what if that's exactly what Sephiroth wants?
That
you know what I
is
mean?
What he wants. Not this most recent trailer that we got, but the one before it, he talks about the merging of worlds. That's his idea to pull that off. To what ends, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think Zack is the key because I don't know if he's going to use Zack as a way, because he knows Zack will probably do everything he can to cross over, kind of creating a link between the two. But I can't, where I'm stuck on is like, I need to know what the nature of these two worlds are. That's where we know there are two worlds, but what is the nature of them? Is one a world of fact, the other a world of fiction? Those are two words they keep throwing around. What is fact? What is fiction? So is one fact, one fiction? Andy, in your stream, we're talking about is one world of the living, the other world of the dead. Is you know that, and that's it's like I feel like the answer lies in what the nature of these two worlds are. Like, what were they? Because I'm not sure it's as simple as it's just another timeline of alternate events. I'm not sure that's what it is. I almost feel like it's this pocket realm that spurred as a consequence of killing the Whispers that either Sephiroth or the planet has a use for. You know?
Yeah, maybe not an alternative timeline, but like another. Let's put it in Kingdom Hearts terms, another world line.
He's in
or a pocket dimension.
It's Roxas's
Twilight
I don't
Town.
know. It's like Roxas's Twilight Town at the start of KH2. It's real, but it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
because obviously, like everybody seems to be dead in Zack's timeline, right? Because they showed that shot of like everybody being X'd off. Now, what's interesting is that Biggs is alive. That's the other thing that's like throwing me off because I'm like, what are they gonna do with him going forward?
I hope a lot. Not gonna lie, because I think he's pretty cool.
Well, I gotta say, I'm a big fan of his Charlie Sheen look. I think the Charlie Sheen look really does well for Biggs. I think he's got to stick that out. Biggs is what leads me to believe the nature of the two worlds might be one is the living, the other is the dead. The only one who keeps me from concluding this is Jessie. Because whatever the hell's going on with Jessie has just been thrown into the wind from that trailer where we see her dancing at the Golden Saucer, though it might be like a VR projection of her.
That I think somebody was, I don't know if that was pulled from an interview or where it was from, but I think we were talking about that before. And I think somebody said like, oh yeah, like that's supposed to be like a VR thing. I don't know I don't know if anybody said that or if that's just a theory going around, but like that would make sense that's like
the image is labeled in an article. Like that's where this comes from is in an article. The image is labeled Shinra's like VR technology is like state of the art or like high tech. So it very well might be a VR Jessie. I think that's probably the safest bet, but she doesn't look translucent enough. You know what I mean? She looks material in that shot, strangely enough. But with that said, if one is the world of the living and one is the world of the dead, then in theory, Jessie should be in Biggs' world, but she's not.
Yeah, she's crossed out.
Yeah. That's where I'm like, so why does Biggs get to survive? Is this just like, did the planet create this world and, you know, handpicked a few people to start to cross over and influence what's going on? Or is there like, do Zack and Biggs have something in common other than being dead that allows them to be alive in that world? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
There has to be something because again, like why spare him and not Wedge and Jessie?
Well, Wedge, because I think Wedge is still alive in remake.
I don't think Wedge died.
That's where I'm like, Jessie throws the whole thing off. The whole thing. She doesn't appear.
Yeah, we only saw him get what he got thrusted down the elevator shaft, and then didn't the Whispers like follow him down or something? I'm trying to remember that scene, and that's the last we see him.
He was basically trying to interfere further, and the Whispers basically just pushed him off screen. You hear some glass break, and he says, "I just wanted to make a difference." But to me, where we saw the light fade from Jessie and Biggs' eyes, for Wedge to just die off screen is, to me, just highly unlikely.
So Kitties and I were talking about this, I think, on Friday, but like that scene at the end when Biggs is laying in bed and he wakes up, is that then in Zack's timeline?
Yes.
It could be.
Yes.
If what we're thinking is right,
Originally, that thought didn't even cross my mind. I thought he just survived. But then we saw this trailer and I'm like, that would make sense.
You know what else? Do you know what else is probably from Biggs' world? When Marlene sees the water drop off the plant and she goes, "Daddy," that could actually be Barrett calling out to her across worlds. Because if they showed Biggs,
Oh my
and that's supposed
gosh.
to be the Biggs world, why would it cut to Marlene and that suddenly be the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm wondering now, is that Marlene scene part of Biggs' world as well?
What if I'm now wondering, like, what if there's like I don't know if you guys have watched like season 1 of The Witcher, but like they did something kind of interesting where like there's a kind of a twist in it where like there's basically 3 different time periods and timelines happening, but you don't know that it's happening until at one point like something happens. It's like, oh wait, this is taking place in the past, this is taking place in the future. And it's like, I'm wondering if there's certain scenes in 7 Remake where it actually is like that, where like, what if we're actually seeing things just in the middle of the game that are actually happening, that are actually in Zack's timeline, but we didn't even realize it this whole time. So like whenever you were saying that with Marlene, you know,
well, you know,
I don't know.
We got the Beagle world
I
and the
believe
Terrier world, right?
Yeah, that's what people were calling it. Yeah.
What are you thinking, Lance? You look like you were saying something there.
I was saying I can definitely believe that. I think
Yeah.
I think I want to put it past them to do that. It's very Square Enix writing to put different events from potentially different timelines to trick the player into thinking that it's all happening in real time. Well,
Yeah.
might not.
Yeah.
And do you know what's interesting about that is, technically speaking, Remake's timeline is like a month or 2 ahead of where OG was. Like things are happening like a month or 2 earlier. I don't know how I can confirm that, but I'm pretty certain that like very randomly the dates in which things were happening were off by like a month or so. Now I don't know if that's just a retcon or if this plays into like what you're saying, like maybe the things that are happening in the present moment in, you know, Cloud's world are happening a month earlier or a month later in Zack's. You know what I mean? Because it seems like Zack spawns into the world, right? We see him kind of spawn in. He brings Cloud back to Midgar, but it seems like by the time he brings Cloud back to Midgar, Avalanche already failed. You know what I mean? Like he's not getting there necessarily at the time he should. He's spawning in like a few weeks late. I feel like there might be something there. I just don't know what else to make of it.
That's really interesting, actually.
I never heard that.
Well, that's a good point, because think about it, like, again, like, that just doesn't happen. Like, the OG, like, when after Crisis Core concludes, that doesn't just happen right after. Zack is going to Midgar right after that whole thing goes down. So I am wondering, that's very interesting, because how are they all dead?
Yeah,
you know,
like
if all these events didn't take place.
Yeah, and Marlene's already with Elmira. You know what I mean? She's already there.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if
he spawned in during the basically Aerith rescue mission. That seems to be when he spawned in.
So, do you think, this is another thing I was kind of wondering. So at the very first shot of that new trailer we got, where like he says like, I feel every bullet. Like, do you, and like the bullet like comes right to his head. Do you think
every bullet? Actually, sorry, continue.
Is that what I said, or what did I say?
She's correct.
He said I'm just being a jerk.
Okay. Well, anyway, I think I wanted to ask this. Do you think that like, what if like Zack didn't initially, I don't want to say initially die, but like, what if like he died, but then like he was brought back, or he's having memories of like how everything was supposed to go down? Because he was saying like, what was it? I'm feeling every bullet.
Every bullet, yeah.
So I'm wondering if he's like having memories of like that, like how like the original timeline, how it's supposed to happen, or like what if he like did die, and because he's like in the remake, he's like, wait, that was all of them? Like, he's like surprised, you know? So I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
What do you think, Kitty?
For anybody.
You've been a little quiet, out of character for you.
Well, okay, so I'm just kind of thinking. I'm thinking about what you're saying. And I don't think he's like literally meaning every single bullet. I think he's just meaning to say that like he feels himself getting shot, which I think is totally plausible. I think Zack could definitely take a few shots and manage to live through it. If that's what you're talking about, potentially. Or I do think you could be onto something with him potentially like remembering. And the way I see it is maybe like it's almost like he has this like precognition. Like he almost like can tell what he thinks is going to happen and almost like remembers that feeling. And then it like changes and goes a different way. Is almost the way I see that working out. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Let me think.
Let me think.
I'm mulling it over. I'm processing.
I mean,
it was just a thought because I'm like,
almost
I'm wondering
like
if he does.
He can like feel like, oh, like almost like he like knows what's gonna happen, and he's like, oh, like almost like he like remembers some of it, but then it goes completely differently.
Kind of like I was even thinking, just even as if like whenever Aerith was like, oh, like there's this feeling in my stomach, right? So like I'm like, and like you know, she's an ancient, so like we know that we can assume and theorize and you know kind of figure out that she's aware of like what's gonna happen. Even down to the point where she says, Cloud, don't fall in love with me. Like, you know, like her and Sephiroth are aware of what's going to happen. So I'm just wondering if Zack, I'm not saying he'd be aware of everything, but like if he was aware of his like inevitable death.
I wonder.
Which is why he was so surprised that he survived.
I would say maybe aware, but not like almost in like a feeling sort of way. I don't think he like knows.
Yeah. Like it's like a feeling in your stomach kind of thing. You know, I don't know. Yeah.
I'm wondering if this is him trying to figure it out in a sense where it's like, you know, he's very surprised he's alive. Like you said in Remake, he's like, wait, that's all of them? You know, I wonder if he's mulling like is this a dream? Was that a dream? And him going, I can feel every bullet is him going, no, that was real. That wasn't like a dream or a vision or like I can feel every bullet. Almost as if to say like that memory is real. Because again, you know, FF7, unreliable narrator, lots of false memories. That might be his way of verifying like, no, that happened to me and is very real. By the way, big shout out to Wayward Wind who just rated us with 13 viewers. Big number on the channel. Thank you, Wayward
She's my
Wind.
bestie.
Let me get
That's
her.
my bestie, everyone.
Let's give that bestie a shout out. Thank you, Wayward Wind. Who's been ripping that Minecraft. There we go. Let me drop that over on YouTube for you as well.
She does some cool lore stuff.
Lore junkie? We do like lore junkies. We do like lore junkies. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I get tangled up very easily thinking about all of this right now. Just because, you know, with Zack, it's like, again, it all comes back to me. It all comes back to what is the nature of the world he's in? Like, what is it? Is it an alternate sequence of events? I doubt that that's what it is in its entirety. Or was it something the planet created or set up? Was it something the live stream set up? Was it something Sephiroth set up? You know what I mean? It's like, who put that there? It's almost like that. I want to know, like, who put that pocket dimension there? And why? You know? Is Zack falling for a trap? Or did Minerva bring him, like, sort of repurpose him the way Minerva repurposed Genesis, right? Genesis, for all intents and purposes, kind of died at the end of Crisis Core, but Minerva sent him back. Like, mended his degradation and his wounds and sent him back. I'm almost wondering, is that kind of what happened with Zack here, where Minerva was like, kind of gave him a second lot on life the same way she did Genesis?
That could make sense.
Possible, but I still feel like no. Because of that, the first line where he's like surprised, like, oh, that's all of them, kind of to me insinuates that it's different this time and he wins the battle and not like he dies but is brought
why
back.
How did he win the battle? Like, why? Like, you know,
well, I have a few thoughts.
Okay,
like how or why? How or why?
Yeah, what materia did he use? Like, come on, I couldn't win that fight. What did he do?
So I literally have nothing to back this up, so don't come at me with your swords. What if Cisne wasn't on time this time? I mean, just saying. What if she actually showed up the way she was supposed to?
Well, why would he be walking with Cloud back to Midgar? Why wouldn't Sis
complicated? Maybe her helicopter was out of gas. Okay.
Yeah, you never know. You can throw that in there.
We have another raid.
Content.
We have another raid from Katie Wayfinder. So if we get some love for Katie Wayfinder
Katie,
in the chat,
two.
Bringing it in. Make sure you're following.
I told you, I have nothing to back it up. I just think it could be way it goes down. Maybe.
Here, I love that idea because any excuse to get Cisne involved is fine with me.
Yes.
Like I do not care. That said, then why? Like, don't you think Cisne would have hooked Zack up so he's not in the middle of Midgar? Like, here, Kyrie, watch Cloud for a minute.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I do think that.
Right,
I do think that. But I also think that scene is symbolic. And so I don't think they would have, like, I think Zack, like, dragging him back to Midgar instead of, like, Cloud dragging the sword back to Midgar. I think they needed to have that parallel for it to, like, just for art reasons. And you know.
In addition to that, like, I think Cisne will want to, like, dip out, like, ASAP. I think she needed to do what she needed to do in that moment. And then,
what if she had to do something else?
Well, if she wanted to not get caught by the rest of the Turks. So
what if she had laundry to fold? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, if she had that's a good one. I like that. Yeah, well,
she's a Turk. They get their laundry done for them. It's in the benefits package. All right, I've seen it.
Not Cisne. She's built different.
She don't need the Betties.
I wonder though. I think Cisne will actually be a huge part of Zack's little journey. Like, I'm actually excited to see what like coalition of like misfits Zack puts together. Like, is he gonna have like a coalition of like Biggs and Cisne and like Sung? Like, I'm curious to see what kind of team ends up working with him. I almost wonder if you're gonna see a lot of the comp. Like, imagine Genesis is only in the little Zack world, right? Maybe there's something about because like. Again, let's say maybe it is a world of the dead that creates a way for Angeal to appear, Genesis to appear, lots of characters we all assume will appear, and then maybe you see Sonnen there and you go, oh,
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah, if Sonnen's here, then that means they must have killed him over there. You know, you could reveal things like that,
which would have
too.
been like, yeah. I was hoping you'd bring that up because I'm kind of hoping for that because I actually really like Sonnen.
Me too.
Great addition.
Oh, so like Zack's timeline is like the quadratum, right?
Kinda.
We go here. Whenever you die, you go there. Dude, but but like Jesse's not there though. So like that's unless she's not there yet.
She's the
What if she died there too?
Thing. She is the one freaking
thing there.
Oh.
Yeah. So I mean, that if we see Sonnen over there, that will definitely like raise some eyebrows. I think I actually really do think that like I don't know if it's necessarily like, oh, this is like the timeline of the living, the timeline of the dead. I really think it's like Zack being alive changes everything because Zack's legacy shapes what FF7 is. So without his legacy, like everything is different, right? Without leaving behind the legacy for Cloud, everything falls apart. And that's
the legacy now.
Yeah, and so but now it's like Cloud doesn't join Avalanche. Avalanche like is in shambles. People like that means they probably do not succeed in dropping the plate.
Tifa's dead, bro. This is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
That's what my head's at.
But I'm wondering,
Zack's alive, so your nightmare, my dream.
So like how did they die then? Like what that's kind of where I'm like, I want to know like what's going on
that freaking scene
over there.
You remember that scene from like one of the trailers?
Yeah. On the news. I forgot about that.
They failed the Aerith rescue.
That's what that was.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right. Yeah. True. Okay.
I wonder if Cloud ever joined Avalanche. I do kind of wonder how Avalanche and Aerith get tangled up in each other.
That's a good bet. I was thinking
that
too.
Like, I wonder how that would work out.
How about that scene with in the trailer where like Zack is all like Prince Charming like over Aerith. Like, what is okay? So like, I'm like that. You know the shot. Okay, I know Kitty knows the shot. She probably watched it 50 times.
I have it burned into my brain.
But like, I'm like wondering, like, okay, is Aerith actually dead there, and Zack just found her body, or is Aerith unconscious and everyone just thought she was dead?
I think she's comatose.
Yeah,
I don't think she's dead. I think she's comatose.
Andy, we're talking about that shot with Zack and Aerith in the latest trailer, and I was like, is she dead and he found her body, or is she comatose?
She's comatose,
and people just think she's dead. Yeah, because that makes more sense.
It almost
now,
feels like it actually feels like the Aerith and Cloud. It's weird, right? Because it seems like Aerith and Cloud primarily have been interfacing with someone or something that's sending them all these memories, right? All the characters kind of get it at the end, but throughout the game, before we get to those final chapters, it's really only Cloud and Aerith whose memories are being like interfaced with. I almost wonder if the Aerith and Cloud in the Zack world are the ones sending those memories or those communications, because it's also very weird that like Marlene knows
because they
this
are
stuff too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say she's definitely comatose because Marlene's like, when she wakes up, you know, the scary man's going to come and kill her. So I'm wondering what, like, them being unconscious, like in this timeline, is able to like, because Cloud has those like visions too in remake. So I don't know. That might be something. You know, that might be something. What were you gonna say about Marlene? There's something there with
so
whenever she's.
To me, it seems clear now that the message Marlene sent, that Aerith sent Marlene in the bar, was of her death. Like, and it's very strange to me. Like, okay, Aerith, why the hell would you show that to a child,
a little girl?
Unless there was some sort of idea here, like she almost wants her to leak that information out. I don't know. It's very strange to me. I don't know. But I also wonder, like, so why does Sephiroth... This is where I get confused, and I wonder if there's something that can be, like, farmed out of this. Does Sephiroth want Aerith to wake up in that other world? Because if he kills her there, she's just gone? You know what I mean? I'm seeing so many parallels about interfacing worlds in Square Enix lately, whether it's the RG and the UG, reality, unreality, whatever's going on in FF7, there's a steady theme between that. And it almost seems like death in one world has much worse consequences than death in the other.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that might be what's going on here. That, like, again, he wants to get that Aerith to wake up, because if he can take out that Aerith, maybe there's something more permanent about it. I don't know. Because again, remember, that's not even our Aerith. So Marlene telling the audience, when that Aerith wakes up, scary man's going to kill her. Yeah, it's Aerith, but it's not our Aerith. We as the audience don't really feel for that comatose Aerith the way we feel for the one that we've already journeyed with.
Unless that is a manipulation red herring tactic from Sephiroth to get Zack to eventually venture. I feel like Zack is somehow going to end up. I feel like like I said before, I'm a believer in the merging of the timelines. Like, I think it could happen in the Forgotten City. Somehow that might motivate Zack to go find Sephiroth, right? Or somebody, right? And maybe Sephiroth is somehow pulling the strings here and manipulating this so that Zack does work his way maybe up, maybe to the city, and the timelines merge, and that's because that's what think about it, like we were talking about earlier, that might be what Sephiroth wants, is to keep Aerith alive, but to somehow have Marlene communicate, hey, this scary man's going to kill her. Zack's going to do everything he can to save her and to prevent that from happening. And that is what I think Sephiroth wants.
So let's dig into that a little bit. What's Zack's rationale? Is it, I have to keep Aerith from waking up, or I have to go kill Sephiroth? Right? Okay, he gets that rationale.
Well, I don't know if he knows he might figure out that it's Sephiroth, but we don't actually know the context of that scene, so we don't know if he's like, who is this scary man, or like, can you describe him? Like, yeah,
I feel like Zack wouldn't intentionally keep Aerith asleep ever.
Yeah,
I feel like that's just not in his character. Zack's going to try to find who that is and put a stop to it.
Yeah,
if you ask me.
And I think that's what Sephiroth wants, though. I think that's what he wants.
Correct, but he knows Zack. Well, he knows Zack extremely well, but I don't think that would stop Zack from doing it his way.
Yeah,
I don't think
it won't.
It would never. Like, even if he knew that that's what Sephiroth was after, I don't think that would change.
Well, Zack has always been like let's like defy the odds kind of guy.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
absolutely.
so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he sticks to like what he thinks and what he believes. He's very strong that way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think maybe this comatose? Oh, go ahead, Lance.
I was going to say, like, kind of like going back to what Andy said, like, we don't know who the scary man is. Like, I think we can.
You assume it's Sephiroth, right?
But what if it's Genesis, though?
I was actually gonna say Genesis.
Yeah, but he has no reason to kill Aerith. He's
right. That's
team,
yeah. In the other timeline, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, what if it's in? I mean, it could be in Geo. It could be anybody.
It could be a lot of people. It could be a lot of people.
I believe it's Sephiroth, but like, I do think it's worth wondering, like, is it really Sephiroth? Could it be somebody else that the trailer makes? The trailer.
Hang on. I had a thought.
You cooking?
I had a thought. Okay, so, and this could be nothing. It could be nothing. But a thought was, because we don't know who, you would assume the scary man is referred to as Sephiroth.
Yeah.
But we don't know the concept of that scene. We haven't seen the extent of that scene. So what if somehow Marlene saw a puppeteered Cloud in the Forgotten City killing Aerith instead?
Oh,
Cloud's
my
in the room.
God.
Cloud is in the room. She'd be like that.
But in like, yeah, but like, because we don't know the extent of that scene. So again, it's just a thought.
He could be like hooded, like the clones. You're basically saying.
Well, yeah, because you see, I don't know what timeline it's in, but in not this trailer, but the last one, you see a dude that looks like Cloud in the hood going. He's going up to the crater. So like, I'm like, what if like Sephiroth is trying to because Sephiroth's outside of like, you know, mass destruction, like mother, you know, Jenova, like outside of like just trying to please Jenova and, you know, basically own the world because he believes that it's his right. He wants to break Cloud. And so I'm wondering, like, if he's like, okay, well, if I can't kill Cloud, or if I can't break him in this way, what if I get somebody else to? You know? So what if there's a merging of the timelines that's going to happen? Zack's going to go up to the Forgotten City, the timeline's going to merge, and it's going to be that moment where Cloud is like, he's ready to kill her, and Zack swoops in, and that's what he sees is going to happen. They start duking it out. I don't know. It's a thought. And most likely the scary man is referring to Sephiroth. But again, Square does a very good job of being very misdirecting in some of these trailers. So I don't know.
My only issue with this is that you're creating a final boss where you don't get to play as the character you spent all game building. And I'm not sure
who says that's the final boss, though.
Didn't they like?
But then what do you do after
some
that?
Type of comment about? I don't know. Never mind. Ignore me.
Go ahead.
Didn't they make some type of comment at some point about there being like a new protagonist?
They talked about Sephiroth being. You could basically Nomura was like, you could see Sephiroth as a protagonist in this game. And a lot of people got that twisted. He's not saying Sephiroth is a good guy, but a good example is like Thanos in Infinity War. Thanos was the protagonist of Infinity War, but he was very clearly the villain. That's kind of the idea I see.
That was his sword. It's kind of the same as like, Like, so whenever you watch like the original Star Wars trilogy, like obviously Luke Skywalker's a protagonist, but that's Darth Vader's story. You know, it's Darth Vader's story through and through.
Especially
This is like Sephiroth's story, like Infinity War, Thanos' story. This seems like it's Sephiroth's story. Not that he's a good guy, but it's he is the Darth Vader of the 7 remake trilogy.
And I think we're gonna get to know everything about, like, we know what's motivated him in the past. It seems like something else is motivating him now, right? Like, we go to, like, maybe his most recent incarnation in the old compilation, which is Advent Children, where he goes on his, his RPG speech of, me and my mother are going to consume this planet and ride it through the cosmos as our vessel, right? So it's like, okay, that's what he wants. But yet, here in Remake, he's like, he's looking to the edge of creation, and he's like, who are born are bound to her. And he says something along, basically, it seems like he's pursuing immortality, but at a level of existence, right? He's like, all who are born are bound to her. I won't have her end, nor will I have you end. So it seems like his ambitions are now beyond just let me and Genova consume this planet and ride it through the cosmos. It seems like now he's pursuing some kind of immortality, but not just an immortality for himself, but like for all of existence. And I wonder, where does that come from? How does everybody play into it? And when he says 7 seconds until the end, it's like, okay, why is he whispering in Cloud's ear to change the thing he's seemingly planning? There's just so many layers. It's almost impossible to get into his head. Like, I don't know. Any thoughts?
I think he's just like, I think it's impossible to get into his head because he's trying to get in everyone else's head. Like, I almost feel like half the stuff he's saying is just to mess with everybody, Like, the 7 seconds to the end could be nothing. It actually could be nothing, right? But I feel like it's not, but it could be. It could be nothing, I don't know. But I do know, especially in the original, Sephiroth had a field day just messing with Cloud's head. And the same thing is happening here. It's just going to play out a little bit differently to maybe meet this immortality agenda that Sephiroth is striving for. We don't really know what he's trying to do. We just know that he's trying to do things different.
And that he needs
But
Cloud.
We don't know. Yeah. He needs Cloud for now. Yeah.
Sounds like someone who wants existence to be immortal. That sounds like a protagonist agenda.
What if the merging of worlds is more than just like 2 timelines? What if it's like, again, I have nothing to back this up with. I'm just throwing stuff out there at this point, just to, see what you guys think. What if Sephiroth's gonna pull a Xehanort? He's going to try to merge himself with, like, Cloud somehow. I don't know. Like, I can't really... It'd be kind of out of pocket and weird.
Genova does the Nording around here.
That's true. Yeah, but I'm wondering if, like... I don't know what Sephiroth's end goal is, and that's why this is, like... it's why it's so fun to, like, make these theories, but also it's like, I just don't know.
Here's some insight that I can offer. So, we're all pretty much... kind of in the boat that this is Advent Children Sephiroth. I think most of us are there. It still could be deconfirmed, but it seems pretty evident. In the book On the Way to a Smile, in the chapter Lifestream Black, it details how Sephiroth was able to revive himself for Advent Children. And the whole way he was able to do it was simply through memory, because Cloud remembered him. But the Sephiroth that came back in Advent Children was only the Sephiroth that was connected to Cloud's memory. So the Sephiroth you see in Advent Children has no memory of Angeal, has no memory of Genesis, has no memory really of Crisis Core. Really, the one that was summoned back through Cloud's memory, basically using the clones from all of Shinra's experiments, the Sephiroth that came back is one that's like fixated on Cloud, because the nexus of his existence is completely reliant on Cloud's memory. And that's why he says to him, I'll never be just a memory. because he seems to, through the live stream and through Genova and all these clones, he has a way to reinsert himself back into existence. If you remember from Crisis Core, the way Cisne explains to Zack, like, yeah, maybe Genesis may be dead, but he's able to, from the live stream, send out these Genesis clones, able to kind of, you know, insert this stimuli into what's going on. And I have to imagine that that's what's going on here. And maybe there's, I don't know, the way Cloud breaks when he's introduced to things from his past, I almost wonder if the same thing's going to start happening to Sephiroth. Can you imagine Sephiroth randomly getting a Cloud headache and there's little blips of Angeal and there's little blips of Genesis, you know, because this Sephiroth severed himself off from that and would almost kind of create this parallel between both Sephiroth and Cloud where they're falling victim to Genova. You know what I mean? It doesn't make Sephiroth the good guy, but you suddenly start to understand, like, oh, his brain is scrambled eggs too, which we all kind of know that, but we don't get to see it. The Sephiroth we always see just has, you know, alpha energy. He's smirking. He's confident. But the Sephiroth from Crisis Core, that guy is still in there somewhere. That vulnerable guy is in there somewhere. So I don't know.
I miss him.
We all do.
Miss him so much.
I wonder if him and Glenn are going to run into each other in Rebirth. I wonder if that will cause one of those blimps that you were referring to.
Right, that's the thing. Glenn might be his first sort of blip. Because I think that's Glenn in the trailer. The more time passes, the hooded guy at the parade, I think it's Glenn. I think it's Glenn. He's got the smirk. He's got the facial hair. I don't know. He's literally the entire point of First Soldier. He's don't get me wrong, Lucia and Matt, they're characters, but Glenn's the guy. You know what I mean?
Guy,
I don't know. What do you make of that, Lance?
Yeah, I think Glenn is going to be. I think First Soldier is going to be basically the Union Cross to Rebirth. Like, I don't know if it'll be to that extreme of a degree of comparison, but I do think Glenn is going to play a role in Rebirth and with his past and connection to Sephiroth. And I think that's why they intentionally presented that scene with them, the opening of First Soldier, with them fighting, and Glenn proclaiming to be a hero.
While having a Sephiroth that was seeking out Genesis.
Yes, that Sephiroth is the guy who was we missed that guy. Like Kitty said, we missed that Sephiroth.
I miss the Sephiroth that would just call us on his cell phone occasionally.
Yeah.
Do we need to give Sephiroth an intervention? Just like sit him down?
Yes.
I
think so, yeah.
Dude, you've changed.
Get a round table and be like, hey, man, what's going on?
Ever since you met Genova, bro, you just haven't been you.
That conversation's not going to go well.
We might all die.
Listen, I just think he's genuinely upset that Cloud stabbed him once, you know? And now he just wants revenge.
That
he's like, hey, man, I remember that.
There's an obsessive component there. There really is. I think Genova drives it, right? Because I think Genova wants the most powerful vessel she can get at her side. And by FF7 standards, that's Sephiroth. But I think when Cloud showed that potential, Genova just she got thirsty. You know what I mean? She's like, who's this guy who wields this Buster Sword and can ram it through Shinra's entire, magnum opus experiment? You know? I don't know. I see Drew is on his way out. Drew, thanks for hanging out, dude. We love you, man. Thanks for hanging. Crazy.
It is also funny how First Soldier, this might be spoilers for people who haven't played First Soldier yet. I think it's interesting how young Sephiroth mentions how Singler lied about him being a hero and kind of pumped out propaganda that wasn't true about what Sephiroth has done. I think that's really interesting. I wonder if that's going to also play a part to his character moving forward, especially in Rebirth.
Well, what it tells me, it almost seems like Shinra was actually scared to dispatch Sephiroth. Like, for some reason, they kept keeping him at home. Because, like, we see it in Crisis Core too, right? Like, Sephiroth is known as the hero of the Wutai War, but Zack was the one who actually did the work. But
yeah,
I was gonna say, you don't really see Sephiroth go out too much. Yeah.
No, it's like a handful of times.
yeah, and in First Soldier, you actually play through the first mission he was ever dispatched out on, and you find out he's got 0 social skills. He has no clue how the world works. He's basically just been Shinra's Rapunzel, hence the long hair, kept in the tower, finally let out. It's interesting. Like, it's very interesting to see.
It's Rapunzel gone wrong.
Yeah, which is funny. That seems to be an archetypical theme in FF7, because I see Aerith has a lot of similarities with Rapunzel too, with Midgar kind of being her tower, keeping her out from the outside world. Yeah, I don't know. It's good stuff. Oh boy.
I don't have any thoughts on First Soldier. I have not played it, but I'm open to like listen about it. You know, I don't really care about like getting spoiled on it. But I feel like I should play it, and because there seems to be some. If we're gonna be seeing some of that in Rebirth, like I feel like I need to like get up to date, you know, up to speed on what's going on.
The first couple chapters are a little bit draggy. I'm not gonna lie, but like once we meet Sephiroth in like chapter 4 or 5, that's when things start to improve. I haven't finished. I'm not completely caught up, but I feel like I'm gonna be end the First Soldier. So I'm excited for updates. I hope Square Enix pumps out First Soldier content and plenty of it before Rebirth, so we can have other context to see what role Glenn is going to play into Sephiroth's character.
Do you think Glenn's related to Cloud some way?
I don't. I want to say no. I've heard that. I think he is an important person in Sephiroth's past. I don't believe there's a connection to Cloud. What do you think?
My gut tells me no, but there's something in the back of my head that goes, they've never explained why Cloud is so powerful. Yeah. It's never real, but like before the Genova cells, right? Pre-Genova cells, Cloud.
Yeah, Nibelheim.
Yeah. He can hang. Why? How? You know, there has to be an explanation for it. And they can leave it ambiguous and unanswered like they have for 26 years. But if they were to explain it, I feel like it might come back to Glenn. Why else introduce this guy? You know? And the idea that, you know, again, in Nibelheim, it was like customary that when a boy grew up, he went off to the Midgar to go work for Shinra. So the idea that someone like Glenn could just be somebody from a country town that ended up in that position, who knows? I don't know.
And you never see. I don't even remember even hearing about Cloud's father. Really,
his mom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's only his mom. So I mean, that could be something. Yeah.
I mean, to back up what you said, Landy, Glenn does really talk about being a fuck up like throughout the game.
Yeah.
He has a lot of gambling problems. There's basically a lot of fuck ups.
It's why we love him.
Life that he refers to. Yeah, exactly, exactly. But it makes me wonder: is one of those fuck ups leaving your kid in Nibelheim, like not never seeing him again? Like, was that one of them? That's it might be on
your mess ups abandoning your child.
Lance, you're so right. Yeah, he doesn't even need to be like he lived in Nibelheim. He could have just knocked up Mama Cloud one night and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Because you're right. He's pretty open about the fact he was a degenerate and that he's kind of trying to get out of that. Yeah. That's interesting. First Soldier. Ever Crisis on PC now, which I'm yet to give that a shot. But
it looks really good. I played on Friday. It's really smooth. Buggery smooth.
So maybe getting away from all the mysteries, we can come back to them. Maybe getting away from all the mysteries. What were we feeling about everything they've shown us from like the Golden Saucer? Because that was a big Golden Saucer trailer. Like that entire trailer was basically Golden Saucer and Elvira's house.
The play is going to be amazing. It's going to be, sure. I feel like, better. It just looks like, because it's not just like who you take on the date. It looks like everybody is involved in some way. So like,
it looks like anyone who isn't a date has a role, right?
Yeah.
And then I did see that like whoever the princess in the play is going to be whoever you give the most attention to. Like it could be Tifa,
I hope
Aerith,
it's Barrett.
or Yuffie.
Yeah. Barrett.
Dude, I can't wait. This is everybody's reminder. When you get to the golden saucer, create a separate save point so you could do dates with everybody.
Yeah. Well, doesn't the date scene? Didn't they say that it's gonna kind of be based off of like a hidden social link mechanic, or like depending on like what kind of quests you do throughout the game, or like how much time you like have them in your party, like kind of similar to like the scene we get in Remake. You can either have like Tifa, Aerith, or Barrett. Because I thought that's what it was gonna be, right?
I think they let you choose because I know that's how the princess works, is based on that. I can't imagine the date and the princess is based on that. Because then they're setting you up for like Aerith, Tifa, Yuffie. I don't know. I feel like I think there will be a lot of that in the game, but I think for the date itself, just because there's so many options, I think they might let you choose.
So who are you guys going to choose then, if that's the case?
Yuffie. Hands down. I'm a Yuffie fan.
I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play. It's a game time decision. It depends how the journey goes, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm with Landy. Game time decision.
If maybe Tifa's being a little too facetious, or she's getting a little too jealous. That turns me off a little bit. I switch over to Aerith. Man, I gotta kind of play it out, see how it feels. Maybe I'm feeling a bros night. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm playing.
Nah, me and my pooch, man. Me and my dog on the Ferris wheel. I'm going Red 13.
That's what I'm saying. It could be like Friday night, 1 a.m. I get up to the gold saucer. I look over on the couch. There's Kobe. I'm like, we're doing a Red 13 date. We're doing a Red 13 date. Oh god.
Yeah, well, because like whenever I played Remake and we had the scene at Elmira's in the flower garden, I got Tifa for that scene. It was a really good scene, but then I watched like the Aerith scene and I'm like, that's kind of like an important scene. Like, dang, like, because that's when she tells Cloud like, don't fall in love with me. And I'm like, oh man, I might have to pick Aerith just for the sole purpose of the story to see what she says, But, like, there's a lot of meat there.
What's interesting, I'd have to pull up the interview from Nojima. The Aerith that talks to Cloud in that dream isn't technically the Aerith in the tower. And I'm wondering if maybe that's the Aerith that's unconscious. I'm going to see if I could pull up the actual interview.
Well, because there are, like, I mean, there's got to be something there with, like, we were talking about this earlier, but with the Aerith being unconscious in Zack's timeline, Cloud being unconscious, because Cloud seems like he's going to be unconscious. Seems like he's unconscious for a long time. Like, there's no way he doesn't wake up. So, like, I think you're on to something with, like, maybe, like, they are somehow, without realizing it, sending messages to
their interface,
the Beagle timeline, or whatever the heck it is, and because there has been you see even in the OG, whenever Cloud is paralyzed, in what the heck is that? Is it Medial? I'm trying to remember. No, maybe not Medial. It's in like disc 2 or disc 3. Cloud is paralyzed. Tifa's the one who has to like wake him up. He's like in the, you know what I'm talking about? Like there's a lot of that happens, like that happens, stuff like that happens in the OG where like, we're trying to like awaken the consciousness, right? And so I'm wondering if they're gonna keep playing off of that and just kind of even go further with it, with what's going on in Zack's timeline. Hi, Kitty. I see Lance's cat.
2 of them.
Chilling.
When daddy's doing something, they go, oh, let's go bother daddy. Let's go.
Oh, man.
I'm still trying to find this Nojima interview, so don't mind me. I think I stumbled on it. So funny. Here's a funny note. Apparently, the line "Cloud, you can't fall in love with me" was rejected over and over and over. They did not want that line in the game, but apparently Nojima was like, "No, that line has to be in the game."
Oh, so you're looking for the interview, like, of him saying that?
Of him saying that the Aerith that was in his dreams wasn't necessarily the Aerith in the tower.
Gotcha. This is so random, but like, do you think Bugenhagen is gonna be a not a playable party member, but like maybe like a side party member in that fight in the Cosmo Canyon? Where the heck is it? The cave of the what the heck is it called? In Cosmo Canyon, whenever that boss fight, I don't remember what the cave is called. Like the Cave of the Gi? Is that what it is? Or something like that?
Actually, hold on. I think that's it.
Yeah. You think Bugenhagen's gonna throw hands? Because he's there with Barrett or Red 13. Just a random thought.
You're right. Yeah, it is Cave of the Gi. He might be like...
Yeah.
It would be cool if he's like an assistant party member.
Yeah. Like, he don't play us or anything, but he's just there. He's throwing hands. I'd love to see Bugenhagen throw hands, bro.
Me too.
Him and his bald head.
I hope they dumped half the budget into the Bugenhagen scene. I hope they took half this game's budget and put it in that scene.
That scene's gonna be crazy. Because we were saying before, we're like, we feel like Bugenhagen is also going to be along the lines of Aerith and Sephiroth, where he's going to be aware of everything that's happening. So that is honestly one of my most anticipated scenes right now that I'm looking forward to, because I'm just like, what is he going to say?
Though there's one thing in particular, and this is what makes the original hard for me when comparing the two. There is one scene that always has stuck with me from the original. It's when you go to Bugenhagen, he's kind of explaining everything, and it kind of zooms in on Aerith, who's kind of looking around almost like she's overwhelmed, right? Because remember, this is the girl who hid under the plate her whole life. Like, I really hope they kind of capture that terror, right? And that's why I kind of liked at the end of Remake when she was like boundless, terrifying freedom. Like the idea of not being encased within Midgar scared her. And then that the idea of killing Fate was even more terrifying. So I really hope they capture that too. I know in the scenes and screenshots we've shown, she has this look of amazement on her. But I really hope they zone back into that in the middle of that scene.
Yeah.
Because again, she's the girl who thinks she feels like the sky is swallowing her up. That's something she says, that when she looks to the sky, she feels like it's pulling her up and away. So I kind of want to feel that during that Bugenhagen scene, because I feel like, and again, I could have projected it because it's little blocky sprites, but to me, it always felt like there was an anxious energy about Aerith at a certain point. That's just a random thought of mine. Since we were on the Bugenhagen of it all.
Yeah.
I see Guy says that's very Rapunzel energy. Yeah, she's Rapunzel in one world and Sleeping Beauty in the other.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Our girl, princess vibes. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, she's not a princess to be coddled until she is in two timelines. Like, she just, like literally princess energy. We love it.
Somebody had a cool theory here. Let me see if I could pull this back up. Okay, cool. It was M.A. who says, I have a theory that there's only one timeline, and that after defeating the Whispers, the past is rewriting itself while the future stays intact, only to change once the past catches up to it, which could be the Temple of the Ancients.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, even like wasn't there in the Temple of the Ancients, there's like moments when you're going through it where like, that's another place I'm really looking forward to seeing, because while you're going through it, you actually see in the original, you see like visions of Aerith, like at in the Forgotten City, and like, but you don't know what's going on. You just see her like praying, and so I'm wondering how they're going to depict that, and if that is going to be, Because I don't know. I guess the past catching up to himself. That's kind of what I was thinking of there. Like I'm wondering if like I don't know. I wonder if there's going to be anything else there, like some dark-haired boy with a buster sword coming to swoop in to save the day, and there's a vision of that there. I don't know.
All right, let's just rip that Band-Aid off. Okay, all four of us. How do you think Rebirth ends?
I can tell you how I want it to end, but probably it will end.
I want to hear how you think it will end.
So I originally thought that because everyone was expecting like, oh, it's going to end at that moment, you know, or like it's going to. I know what Kittie's going to say. It's actually kind of hilarious.
Kind of hilarious.
So I was actually thinking. I thought they were going to go farther than after the Forgotten City, and I thought it was going to end with Barrett and Tifa locked up. Meteor is falling from the sky, and then it's kind of like it's a parallel to 7 Remake whenever Aerith looks up and says, I miss it, the steel sky. Now Tifa and Barrett are locked up, sentenced to death, and they're looking up at the sky and they say something as Meteor's falling. I thought that's how it would have ended, because then at that point it's like everyone's pretty much at their lowest. Cloud is unconscious, they're locked up, Aerith is gone, everyone's at their lowest. However, I think in I could be wrong, but I thought they actually recently said in an interview that the devs were like, you can expect it to end when you think it's going to end. Well, so we know it's going to be at that around that moment, like after that moment, you know. Now I think because the whispers are present in that moment that we've seen in the trailer. That's what I'm just so anxious to see, because I'm like, they are there, which means something else is going to happen. I still think at the end of the day, Aerith is going to die. I don't know if it's going to be the same way, but I think at the end of the day, everything is going to play out exactly how it's supposed to play out, but because the whispers are there, something's going to happen. Just like at the end of 7 Remake, we had that whole giant fight with Sephiroth that was not in the original. Almost none of that was. But at the end of the day, what are they doing? They're on their way to Kong, just like in the original, right? They're on pace to follow the story of FF7, but with there's going to be different things that are going to happen. So is Zack going to swoop in and save the day? Is it going to be are you going to have a moment where like, I don't know if you're going to be able to play as Zack throughout the game or if they're going to save him for DLC like they did with Yuffie. But like, are you going to have a moment where you have to choose between Zack and Cloud? Because there are some Square Enix games that I will not name because of spoilers that have done something like that with their characters, and it's games. Yes, why are you making me do this? And so I'm like, I don't know, but I think, yeah. I kind of think that would be nuts, right? There's like 2 different endings, but one of them is like the actual canon one, the other one's like the bad ending, But I can't see them having like Cloud or Zack as a final boss. Like I think you're going to be fighting. You're going to have that Genova fight after everything goes down, and then you might end up fighting Sephiroth again, or Cloud and Zack versus Sephiroth and Genesis. Hey, man, I don't know if Genesis is going to come back, but all I'm saying is that Rebirth logo has a dawning red to it, which makes me think of Genesis. So I don't know, but those are all my thoughts on it.
Even if tomorrow is barren of promises.
Here we go. Oh, here we go. My return. Here we go.
Financial supremacy.
Beautiful.
Katie, say what you were going to say.
Oh, well, okay. The likelihood of them actually doing this would be super low. I just think it would be the most hilarious troll of all time. I want it to build up. I am a firm believer. I do think Zack's going to swoop in there. That's just me and my Zack-obsessed denial brain that he's going to show up there and save her from who? I'm not sure. But try to save her from something. But I think it would be hilarious if they built it up to that point and it just cuts to black. as soon as Sephiroth.
Credits roll. That would be, people would hate that.
I like that.
Oh man, it would drive me nuts. It would drive me nuts.
It's what I want so bad. I just think that would be so great. And then you would have people just like hanging on and just like so upset.
That would make that people would be so mad. People would be so mad, dude. Like
I wouldn't even be mad. I would just be like, this is great.
Can you imagine? You see
I get to be in pure agony and question my life till the next game.
I kind of want this.
Let's do it.
I'm actually like really not opposed to it. Imagine the game is ending. You see Sephiroth descending. It cuts to black, and right as the credits roll, you hear do do do.
Oh, come on.
Right? And then the third game, you boot up the third game, and right as you boot it up, black screen, you just hear,
and that would be where it picks up.
And you're like,
it would be the most insane start to a game ever.
No, I feel like it wouldn't start that way though. I feel like it would start like in the future and like after that scene to see like kind of it wouldn't be it would that scene would take place like shortly after, but like it would start somewhere like, you know, you'll see kind of maybe it even starts with Tifa and Barrett are locked up, Cloud is unconscious, and it's like, how did we get here? And it would be kind of crazy for people who've never played the original and be like, we don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would actually do that to us. I think that's just me wanting to be unhinged. But I do genuinely think Zack is going to show up there. I think that's where
wants that, and part of me hates it.
I love it. It's what I live for.
I think a reunion is inevitable. I think it's inevitable. Yeah. And I think that's what I'm the most excited about. And that's why, like, when Rebirth comes out, I'm so torn. I'm like, do I want to take my time and enjoy just like this masterpiece of a game? Or do I want to make sure I don't get spoiled and get through the story so I see everything before somebody says something, you know?
And I'm still a firm believer that I still think Zack's going to die at some point, and I still think that could be the moment.
I think everything is going to end up how it should be, one way or the other, regardless if Sephiroth is trying to change things or not, because it seems like Aerith knows that she has to die. Yeah. Like, that has to happen. And, again, like, I think how she dies, I don't know. Maybe they all make it out and no one dies and they repel Sephiroth and Jenova, and then maybe you have a completely different, I don't want to say completely different, like, part 3, but you just have part 3, but now it's with Zack and Aerith, and they're just with you, but now, like, you don't know what's going to happen with them because they're like the oddballs out, and they still end up dying somehow. I feel like they would not do that, because I also just feel like Zack and Aerith's death they're way too impactful to like just not have in there. So that's why I think that like it could be different, right? It might be different, but their deaths are what really shape this story and these characters. It's those two specifically.
And I still think that could be the moment though for him. Well, so there's part of me that still thinks that might be it.
Here's what I think. I'm going to play off what you said, Kitties, because I think you're warm. I think Zack spawns in on that moment, right? You even hear Aerith in the trailer say, like, lend me your strength, you know?
I think she's talking to him too.
I think so. Yeah, I think so too.
Gosh, and she's a white mage. She literally summons him, dude. Like, oh my gosh.
I would like it.
Dude, what if she's like, well, you know how she's like, oh, my material is not good for anything at all, but I know it's like it's holy, but like, what if like Zack just comes out of it?
I'd be like, yeah, he's holy. You're correct.
But I do think I do think Zack spawns in at that moment, and could you imagine the final boss is you are playing as a possessed Cloud who is about to kill Aerith, right? I think we're going to set it up that Cloud will be the one to do the deed. Because that will destroy
that's
him,
what
right?
I thought.
Yeah, because Sephiroth, if Sephiroth does it, Cloud can absolve himself of guilt to a certain degree.
Yeah.
If Cloud is the one to do it, he will break in
That's
a way
gonna
he's
break
never
him.
broken before.
Well,
And that's also going to break
let's
Zack
also-
if he's there to see
To
it.
bring you back to a point I've made during previous roundtables, I think Zack's meant to serve the same purpose, to save Cloud. And he would just be saving Cloud in a different way.
I think now he has to save Aerith. I think he already
Well, I
saved
think he
Cloud.
needs, yeah.
I think he already saved Cloud in Crisis Core. It's now Tifa's job to save Cloud.
Ooh, that's
I think
true.
Zack has to save Aerith. I think Cloud will be close to doing the deed. Zack will appear, and your final boss is you are going to fight Soldier First Class Zack Fair. That will be your final boss. A one-on-one.
That would be
Fight
but
him?
Zack willing to do everything to protect Aerith versus a Cloud possessed by Genova, and you have to fight him. You have to fight
can't.
Zack.
That would be nuts.
Then Cloud will
That'd be
kill
insane.
Zack, and that's his new guilt trip. That's his new guilt trip. Sephiroth breaks him all over again. Because remember what woke up Cloud in Crisis Core, seeing Zack on the floor, bloody and dead. Now imagine he's seeing it like he's the one who did it. Because think about it, that's the legacy of the Buster Sword. Zack had to kill
I'm
Angel
never gonna
to
forget
inherit
him.
the Buster Sword. Now Cloud is
you're
gonna kill
right.
Zack
You're
to inherit
right.
the Buster Sword. That's how it works.
You're right.
He's gonna pass
I hate
it down.
it.
And who knows? Maybe Zack becomes a monster just like Angel before him, right? Maybe something happens. He does that in a way to save Aerith, and now just as Angel needed Zack to strike him down, Zack needs Cloud to strike him down. Like, yes, I became this to save Aerith, and now you have to save me. And then now that's Cloud's new guilt trip. I don't know. That's my random
maybe
because Cloud
that
has
could
to
be
break.
really good. That could be really good. But I personally don't think I can fight Zack fair.
That's why they have to do it, Kitties.
No way I would
That's
kill him.
why
I
they
can't
have
do
to
it. I can't do it, Landy. I'm not gonna finish this game.
Like you just see him pausing it and just walking out of the room like, nope.
Or
I'd be like, so, this is where the game ends. There's nothing after this.
on the flip, right? The only moment that you get to control Zack in the game is a final boss against Cloud.
I like that.
It's just like Crisis Core, where just as his final encounter, you cannot win. You fight Cloud, but you can't win.
Okay, see, that I could get into, because I was going to say, I don't like that the final boss is a character with a moveset you haven't played as the whole game, because I feel like final bosses really test your mettle on the character created.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be the final boss. It doesn't have to be.
But the idea you're supposed to lose is something I
just
really
like Crisis
love.
Core.
I really
just
love
like in Crisis Core.
I prefer this. That's gonna hurt me so much better.
Yeah.
I would like
Cloud, just a thought.
So now imagine Cloud is broken in a way he wasn't before. Aerith has been captured by Shinra. And Tifa and Barret are in jail, sentenced to death. It's like now you have this new component where you have this living Aerith, but she's in Shinra's clutches now. Like you actually made everything worse, right? Just imagine that. We get to that end and now we've just made everything worse.
True. Yeah.
Because now that you're keeping Aerith around, you're giving Shinra what they want, right? You're giving Hojo what he wants. Maybe not what Sephiroth wants, but we got a lot of players here, you know?
Yeah.
What about you, Lance? How do you think it ends?
I'm going to remain consistent with what I said at the beginning. I think everything. I mean, the whispers might change some things, but the whispers might change things on the other side. I think he dies just like the original. But what if the whispers?
I think that's most likely what could happen.
What if those whispers being there? What if they show up in the other timeline, and Aerith wakes up with Zack? That's how I think the game ends. I think the game's going to end up at cliffhanger, and then what's up, Landy?
Lance. Oh, I think you cracked it. I think it's a reunion. I think Aerith will die, but she's just going to wake up on the other side, reuniting with Zack.
Yes.
And
where she should be. Sorry.
Yeah, let's kill Aerith. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
I'm a sucker for their relationship. Okay,
too.
like
Seraph for life.
same. Like I just they're perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so let's take on the shippers. What do you guys think about that scene of Cloud and Aerith getting really close?
I think that Cloud is still gonna fall in love with her, as he does.
As he should.
As
he should.
Sure. I mean, she is great, but
here's something that people don't understand.
Cloud. He's like a Cloud Zack hybrid. Of course,
dude, he's in love. He's in all this like shipping bullcrap, dude. He's in love with both of them.
Yeah,
like
it's a love triangle.
It's a love triangle. He's in love with both of them. One just happens to die. Like, you know?
No, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he's still going to fall in love with her. I think that's a big part of Cloud's character and his development. Absolutely. But yeah, I personally am Zack and Aerith to the end. And that's why I think I was so okay with all the deaths, with their deaths, because they're together in the live stream after they die. And that
they were together in Advent Children.
Guardians of the planet.
And they're going to be together again. You know?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Cloud was going to catch feels because I think that was inevitable. I mean, you've seen Aerith, right? She's very charming.
Also, if you're a dude, you've been 21. You know how that is. If you were in a room with Aerith and Tifa, you wouldn't be able to choose either. All right?
Nope.
We know how that is.
You have a point.
We know how that is.
Yeah, they both have two. They have two different energies that are both like that pull at different.
Yeah, you want Aerith in the streets and Tifa in the sheets. That's what you want.
Oh my! I wasn't gonna go there, but hey,
that's what I was trying to get at. But you said it better than
But no, and I do think. But that was my point. Is like, yeah, they're still gonna catch feels, but I still think that like Zack is the biggest reason for the why Aerith is the way she is, why she has the courage to do a lot of things. Like, I think that connection is just very important to her.
Facts.
And I think the reason why, and like this is why I actually really love it, and it's actually quite a unique love triangle, is the reason Aerith is almost like playing into it is because she misses Zack, and Cloud reminds her of him. You know? It's like I still get
mad at her though, all the time. I love her, but I get mad at her literally all the time.
I mean, Kitty, like she thinks Zack is dead. What is she supposed to do? Like,
I'm aware. There are just certain times and she says certain things, and I'm like, but why you gotta lie though? I'm thinking of the scene where she's talking about him the first time, and when she and Cloud are at the playground in original
like the
7.
Eyes?
Where
in the original,
he asks if she like had a boyfriend, and she's like, yeah, and he's like, were you serious? And she goes, no, we just saw each other for a while. And I'm like, you liar, you heckin' liar. Not serious. Okay, as you write him however many letters.
87 letters.
Like, don't even with me right now.
But that's the problem, is everyone's always lying to Cloud to protect him. That's like, she doesn't mean that. She didn't mean
liar.
It. She doesn't mean that they weren't serious.
Matter. She still said it, and I witnessed it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How long is the gap between Cloud walking back to Midgar with the bus of Soul and Tifa?
Not long, I don't think.
It's not very long.
Is it like a year, months, days? Like
what, between Cloud getting back to Midgar and the start of FF7?
Not of Tifa. Most of Tifa finding him.
Or you mean like Tifa like recruiting him in the Avalanche, or just like? I always get mixed up because I heard it was like months. I heard it was like years, but I actually don't really know.
Not years, I don't think.
Months, it's not years or something.
Months. Months is more accurate. Which is why I'm mad.
Eric the Dude says there's that one scene in one of the earlier trailers where Tifa and Aerith are discussing what really happened at Nibelheim, which didn't happen in the OG. You know, there's a lot of that going on, which the thing I'm happiest the most about is actually, I might catch some heat for saying this, it's actually Cloud. I think Cloud is the weakest part of the original. I really do. I think he's one of the most unrelatable protagonists in the series. Because that's hard to pull off when you have an unreliable narrator who's acting as a persona that isn't his real self. You feel like you don't really get to know the character.
I see what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
But this new Cloud is actually gripping with the dilemma. He's like, hey, I'm getting all these visions and memories. Like this dilemma he's having now in Rebirth did not exist in OG. And I feel connected to him now because I almost feel like I get it. It's like, yeah, man, I don't know what's real and what's fake either. I don't know what the future is or what the future isn't.
Yeah.
You know, I almost feel like I'm on that ride with him of like, dude, I don't know what's fact or fiction either. I'm on the ride with you. I get it now. I know what it's like. Hey, yo, shout out to Sid with a $5 super chat who says, Sephiroth and Aerith are together in my head. After all, he was closest to her heart at the end.
Dude, she sent that to me this morning and said, good morning. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, no. Get out of here, Sid.
Of Cupid's arrow. That's all he was doing. He just didn't understand the assignment. He thought it was a Cupid's arrow thing, you know?
And I took that literally.
I mean, you did say he doesn't have good social skills, so.
Yeah, I think like, so I think Cloud is, because like, Lady, I like agree with you to a point, but I also do think that Cloud, what makes him, even in the original, like, I don't think as interesting, I mean, I think what makes him interesting in the original, I should say, is that he is, in my opinion, the most complex character because of all this stuff going around in his head. And I think Remake just does a very good job of making that feel more real.
Yes.
Because in the original, he's kind of just like, it's kind of just like, what's going on? I don't know. Like,
all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the remake, I feel like there really isn't much that changed with this character. But now that we're kind of like seeing it more fleshed out, and we're actually seeing like what's going through his head brought to life, I think that's why we can maybe relate to him more in the remake, because it is brought to life more. You know what I'm saying?
They have more. They have more to work with in terms of communicating what their vision is with the PS4 and PS5, as opposed to polygons and no voice acting in the original.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that wasn't iconic, but still.
Right.
I think
I would agree. I would agree. That type of stuff does definitely help convey the message more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think though a big part of it is also like kind of putting us in his world. You know what I mean? Feeling his dilemmas. You know, like, again, that very eerie, I keep bringing up that very eerie scene in the sewer where Tifa and Aerith are lying there and they're just like, choose. You know what I mean? It almost seems so like creepy to me in a lot of ways. I don't know. I just feel, you know, obviously it helps to see actual emotions on his face and to see what these visions are, as opposed to like a red flashing screen with some narrative text. Like it's good to see these visuals now. But I just think it's very clever to kind of put us in a similar dilemma of just not knowing where we're headed, what's real, what's fake. I think it's just so genius. And I think Square is kind of obsessed with breaking fourth walls lately. And I like that they're not doing it in a way of like character looks at camera and talks to you directly.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, imagine we just took down that fourth wall and there was just something connecting you to what was going on, right? Kingdom Hearts does this with the player, you know?
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid does it by making you take the disc out of the PS2 and then you got to put it back in before the game can continue. You know,
I heard about that.
What?
I heard about that. That's nuts.
Yeah.
I've never heard about that.
Yeah, there's a point in a Metal Gear Solid game where to continue the story, you have to eject the disc, take it out, put it back in, and then the game will continue. Now, this was Kojima.
That's so nuts.
This is Kojima before he totally lost his mind. And I say that in a good way. Because that man's gone way off the deep end. In a way, I'm excited to see Unravel. I want to make that clear. But like Kojima and Nomura used to be like the same levels of crazy, but like Nomura's still here. Kojima's gone up here.
I was gonna say, if people think Nomura is like out there, like look what Kojima is doing. Like, I don't know.
Or even what's
it's
his name?
It's just funny.
Director of Nier.
Oh, Yoko Taro. He's nuts. That dude's that Yoko Taro's always been that way though. He's always been like off the deep end. Yeah. Oh man.
I think Yoko Taro in an interview said like, I really admire the way Nomura connects the players to his story through other means other than the games. Like he said he's always admired Nomura's ability to engage the audience outside of the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wally the West says, similar to Landy, I think a Zack and Cloud battle could happen, and it could be due to Aerith being in danger at the same time. The final battle could be each Cloud and Zack fighting Sephiroth, but the Whispers changing their forms, leading to a battle and death between the Buster Boys. So I think what he's saying is an illusion will be cascaded by the Whispers, Sephiroth,
Oh,
Genova.
yeah.
So Cloud and Zack each think they're fighting Sephiroth, but they're really just fighting each other the whole time, both under the premise that they're saving Aerith. That would be nuts.
That's a 358 reference.
Oh, that hurts.
Pitting Roxas against Xion, thinking they're fighting a Heartless. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Or they're doing that, and then Aerith is the one who sees it happening, is like, stop, gets in the middle, and then they both kill her.
No.
Sorry. I'm just,
No. Absolutely not.
I'll see myself out now. Thanks, guys. Great podcast. Great time.
Hurts. I would feel so bad for Zack.
Well, that's the point. Like, I hate to say it, Kitty.
Yeah.
You're not going to get out of this with sunshine and rainbows.
No, and I don't want to. Okay. I don't want to. Do you not know me?
I do, but I just know you're protective of Zack.
I am.
And I'm telling you, it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows.
I want him to die.
I do want him to die. I just want to feel awful about it.
I can see it. Okay. Eric the Dude says, I'm with you, Landy. I almost found it comical that people are mad about the Cloud twist being spoiled early, as if the Cloud unreliable narrator thing in OG wasn't extremely obvious. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Are they talking about like Crisis Core?
No, he's talking about how like Remake is making the unreliable narrator thing obvious, and some people like are criticizing that, but his point is like it was always obvious.
Well, it's silly to be. I mean, I get where because people were like, oh, this isn't a 1-for-1 remake like I wanted. But it's like, listen, if they are willing to, kind of like put more hints in there if you haven't played the original, that there is like this unreliable narrator thing. And also to release Crisis Core, which spoils the biggest twist of the game, like of the original. And they're saying, hey, play Crisis Core before part 2. That means they are cooking something else up that's going to blow our minds even more. They have to be.
Absolutely.
You know.
I agree.
And that's why I wonder if that's what comes back to the world merger. Does the world merger have something to do with Crisis Core? You know what I'm saying?
I want it to.
I know there was that leak way back when the first trailer dropped that said the ending of Rebirth. I guess I should say potential spoilers. You guys don't mind if I talk about this leak to you?
I don't mind.
It's probably fake.
Okay.
But they basically say the way, and I'm a little eerie because there's a little something that makes it compatible now with this latest trailer, but they basically said the way Rebirth would end is that you find out Genesis was the one who initiated the time loop. Cloud will die at the end of Rebirth, and he'll be replaced by the Cloud in Zack's timeline. That's what a leak is proposing the end of Rebirth is. Genesis is the one who
didn't think about that.
This. Yeah. Cloud is going to die at the end of Rebirth, but he'll be replaced by that Zack dwelling timeline Cloud. I don't buy into it. I don't see how that could work. I don't see what the point of doing that would be when you've made
I
Cloud
feel like
way more.
Genesis. I was just going to say, because like even just like Square Enix loves to tease things with their logos. And I said this already, right? I mean, look at every Final Fantasy game that's ever come out. Like every single one, to some extent, is whenever you look at the logo, it's like, oh, like even with Final Fantasy VII with the meteor, like it's like, well, that's something that happened in the game, you know. FF15 is another one, but I won't go into that one because some people haven't played it yet. But like, there's something in their logos that it's like, this is like a big point of the game, and I can't help but think that Genesis is going to actually have a big role, even if it's just in the background, because this logo is a very dawning red when it gets to the Rebirth part, which is honest, like it. Outside of maybe Vincent, which we haven't even talked about Vincent yet, but outside of maybe Vincent, like the only other character that I could think of resembling Red would be Genesis and maybe like Scarlet, but that, you know,
No.
Scarlet is Scarlet. But like Genesis would make sense. So yeah, I think that's a possibility. I think that we could be on to something.
I don't know how that would be possible in the end of Dirks, but what if the end of Dirk, this Dirks is Cerberus spoilers for anybody who hasn't played Dirks Cerberus. The end of Dirks Cerberus, Genesis finds Vice he's like slaying, and he picks him up and is like, and I think he has like Luke Soul's voice actor at the time. He's like, "Oh, we got much to do, brother." What if like I really think that's going to come back into play into this Rebirth trilogy, and maybe manipulating those timelines could be one of those things that that this Genesis at the end of Dirks is referring to.
I keep thinking, because if you're bringing Genesis back, that means Loveless is the answer. There's no bringing Genesis back without Loveless being the answer, which means maybe
Loveless wasn't in the trailer.
It was in the trailer.
It was in the trailer.
Yes. So I'm wondering if
isn't that also the play?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that the ending of Loveless, where the three friends reunite, is in some way going to be true. Now you need a Sephiroth, you need an Angeal, and you need a Genesis. Cloud is Angeal's successor, right? With like spiritually the legacy of the Buster Sword. Cloud would be that stand-in for Angeal. Sephiroth can obviously stand in for himself, but then that leaves Genesis open. Because that's a big part of the story of Loveless. You have the three friends, one flies away, one is captured, one becomes the hero. The hero would be Angeal and his legacy. The fly away and captured can go either way between Sephiroth and Genesis, but I don't know. It's just something I think about.
We haven't talked about Sid at all.
I'm going to sound off. That he worries me the most. I was actually very disappointed with Sid. I've been biting my tongue on it, but I was very disappointed in what I saw. I'm just going to say.
I love
no fucking cigarette. He's being polite. He looks charming. No, he is a rude, broken piece of shit. And he redeems himself throughout the story. I cannot tell you how much this upsets me. I really can't.
Well,
I really can't.
Because I do love like his design aesthetically, but that was something that I noticed. Yeah, that was something that I noticed when rewatching the trailer. I was like, why is he being so nice? Like what? Like, is this like a different take on Sid? Or, I mean, maybe there's something there. Maybe that could have something to do with like the Whispers changing up something. I don't know, but that was something that it was definitely interesting.
Aerith, let me help you. Who is this? Who is this? He should be drunk saying, get out of my friggin', like he should be. He's broken. He's so broken.
Yeah.
That's why I love him. Because the way he changes between OG to Advent Children, where he names his new airship Sheer, like, I don't know. I was just so upset, but I love Vincent. I think Vincent sounds perfect.
Vincent looks perfect.
No complaints. Sid, I am very disappointed. I just think he's so important to the cast. Because if he's not the edgy, broken, then who is he? What makes him unique in that crew of characters? I don't know. I'm going to shut up.
I have a question.
I'm going to shut up.
Do you think it's fair to base how Sid is going to be throughout the story based off that one line?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm being reactionary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same
But
way,
it's not
but
just
it
the
was.
line. There's no cigarette. Where's the cigarette? He's a chain smoker. Why are we nerfing him?
Maybe they'll be in the. Maybe they'll have in the whole game. I mean, we hope
It'll be a part of his moveset.
I'm hoping that is just
garbage
like,
area.
I'm hoping that's almost something that like goes on in someone's head. Like, oh, like this is how you should act, and he's actually just a piece of crap.
Well, it's like, I don't know, because it's like that could be a different take on the character, but that also that could be Sephiroth redoing things. I don't know, because that is
now
it's
he's a
very
gentleman.
Space. He got to go to space. The space program wasn't canceled. He wasn't faced with the tough decision to either sacrifice his assistant or cancel his dream, preserving her life. And then upon choosing to cancel his dream and preserve his life, he becomes like a domestic abuser because every time he looks at her, he sees his failed dream and the tough decision he makes.
Well,
I think they're chickening out. I think they're chickening out because that is a tough thing to portray. It's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. It's uncomfortable to look at. So I think
but
they're
it's
chickening
supposed
out.
to be uncomfortable.
I think because FF7 was polygons, so it just looked silly. So I think they might be chickening out. I think they might be chickening out. I hope not.
And I mean, also, like, what if the order of events like could change?
They have.
Like, that's the other thing I was thinking of.
I think they have.
Like, because what if he is this like super sweet guy until all this stuff happens with like the space? Like, what if we're actually going to see all of that go down like later, and then he's going to turn into like this, this I don't want to say monster, but you know what I mean. He's going to turn into like the Sid that we've seen.
Do you remember the whole reason Sid decided to join the crew? He was. I'm blanking, to be honest. He was so sick of his life in Rocket Town. It wasn't I want to help Aerith. It was he was sick of the life he was living, and he was happy to be getting away on their like little I think it was like a getaway boat or something. He was happy to be getting away with them. Like I remember they asked him about Shira, and he's like, "Oh God, I don't want to go back to that woman." Like it's awful, it's rude, it's terrible, but I think it made him special. Because then when he comes around and he names the airship Shira, and then he becomes like seeing him become the Sid we see in the trailer, to me is such a satisfying transformation that I don't want to miss out on. Yeah.
Which is why I'm wondering, like, what if like that actually takes place a lot later, that scene? But I can't see that happening.
I feel much better about it.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that I can really think of. And then again, like, it would be kind of interesting if Square marketed Sid this way to people who, again, have not played the original, right? And they're like, oh, Sid, I've seen this guy maybe Kingdom Hearts or something. Like, who's this guy? Like, he seems like a nice guy. Then they play the game, they were like, this is not at all who I saw in the trailer. Like, what the heck is going on? And then they build up to, like, that moment.
I would like it. I'm just saying I'm worried. I'm not throwing in the towel.
Yeah,
I'm just worried.
That's valid. That's totally valid.
I believe we'll get the Sid from FF, from the OG. I do believe we'll get
I think they are going to censor him a bit, but I think we are going to get
a little bit. I understand.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get that. I think they might be misdirecting us. That's what I'm hoping in the trailer, that they're misdirecting us.
I mean, even in Kingdom Hearts, he's rude.
He's not that. I mean, he's very tame in Kingdom Hearts.
He offers to adopt Sora in Kingdom Hearts 1.
I forgot about that.
Some NPC dialogue. He offers to adopt him. He's like, I'll take you in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't want to miss that transformation. Vincent, you see the Vincent is Sephiroth's dad theories are popping back up?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, something's got to be explained why he's so pretty. I mean, like Hojo, like you gave me, like Hojo is.
Hey, you don't know what Hojo was like in his prime, though. Just saying.
I mean, he was
probably not.
I mean, he was still pretty greasy when he fought the Luxia. So I mean,
Well, I think he's so pretty because he got those Lucrezia genes. I think she had those dominant genes.
Yeah, but be a little bit. I mean, Lucrezia is pretty. Let's not get that twisted. But I mean, like, I think, like, you would think he get a little bit of that of those awful Hojo genes. But he's really pretty. Maybe he's actually Vincent's kid. I don't know. Maybe some.
That would, but honestly,
maybe they hooked up before.
That would make Vincent's arc so insane. He's on a hunt to kill his biological son.
Yeah, that'd be
yeah.
lovely. I love it. I like it.
And you know what? It would help. He'd be less of a cuck. I could get past that now.
Hey,
don't
hate on my boy.
I mean, we did this last episode. I don't think we need to.
We did.
I don't think we need to.
We do it every episode.
I don't think we need to rehash it. There we go. Look, Livid Sid with a $5 super chat says, Vincent can be my daddy. Well, Sid, the problem... Never mind. Never mind.
No, go ahead, Landy. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
You know, he'd have to get laid in order to do that, but he's too busy cucking himself in Shinra's basement, Sid, so I don't think it's going to happen. Sorry. Anyway. Hello, Lanz's cat. All right. Eric the Dude says, I'm really fascinated how they're going to show Vincent and Sid's abilities since they aren't playable. There are fights in Remake where you go and see Red's limit break attacks. I actually think it's possible Sid doesn't
be similar.
I think Sid may not even be in the party this game.
Yeah, he might not be.
I think he might just...
I was going to say, it's either going to be similar to like what they did with Red 13 or what they did with Sonon. Or like you just, you have maybe some team attacks with
I'll do you one better. I think he's going to end up like Futaba. I think he ends up
like in 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they mentioned that Sid's not playable. I'm not sure. Don't quote me, but
yeah, I don't even think he's going to be like Vincent and be an assist character.
Oh, okay.
He's going to be a nav.
I think so.
Can you imagine though, like... I'm just thinking of like stuff that Futaba says in Persona 5 as a nav. Can you just imagine just like Matt Mercer's edgy voice just being like, nice combo or like something?
I gotta say, Matt Mercer is scoring every like 2000s kids like video game role dream.
Well, also this was like his dream was to be in Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah.
From what I read. Yeah, which is awesome.
And this character.
Yeah, specifically Vincent. Yeah. Ganondorf, Vincent. Who's next?
At the rate he's going, I don't know. How many other iconic like series are still rolling from the 2000s? It's actually kind of crazy to think like not that many.
Yeah.
Really off topic, random stat I heard the other day that like 95% of films before 1940 are gone. Lost to time. There's no copies left. Again, just very random.
That's crazy. Before 1940?
Yeah. Like 95% of films are lost to history.
Interesting.
Wow.
That's sad.
Well, because I guess like film has an expiration date, right? So if you didn't port that film to a CD or a digital file or something, it just it
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Well, anyway, we don't have to worry about that with video games so much, thankfully.
No.
Yeah.
Unless it's digital and Sony like can pull them whether they want to.
Which sucks because like every game, not every game, but any game that has a day one update is technically digital no matter what.
Yeah.
Ryan Ostrowski gets here asking the $1 million question. Do you think Aerith dies at the end? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think by the end of the trilogy, it's certain. I think it's possible she doesn't die in this game.
Yeah, it's up in the air with Rebirth. I'm leaning more towards I'm like 65%, yeah, she dies, 35% she doesn't in Rebirth. But yeah, I mean she will die.
My thing is like you can't kill Fate and not have something super significant change.
Yeah.
Which again, maybe that's
True.
just Zack being around. But what does that conclude to? You know?
But is fate really dead if the Whispers are back?
Yes, because the Whispers now do Sephiroth's bidding. Because in the
That's right. Because he he absorbed all of them. That's right. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
Crazy thing about which. Now I'm wondering, like, do the Whispers exist in the other world?
Yeah.
Like in
because
Zack's
we
little
saw
pocket
them.
world.
We saw. Didn't you see them surrounding Midgar whenever Zack was looking out?
Yeah.
But don't they poof? Don't they go like gold sparkly? Don't they go poof?
Yeah, we do.
I thought you saw. I'm trying to remember now. Because you do see them. You see them surrounding Midgar, I believe, and you see them when Zack is like during that iconic scene at the end of Crisis Core. Like you see them flying around, like as the soldiers are about to gun him down.
But when he like wakes up and is like, "Oh, is that all of them?"
Yeah,
they're
not.
The gold. They're like golden dust. It's almost like they.
Yeah, you don't see them. You don't see them after. Yeah, it's a good question.
So it actually makes me wonder. Maybe it created a world where the Whispers never existed, and that's why everything's like completely out of whack compared to the world where their Whispers were around up into a certain point. So everything up into that point is perfectly intact. Because think about that singularity moment, right? In Cloud's world, the Whispers existed up to the end of the highway. But in Zack's world, they were like purged completely. So everything before that moment's been completely changed. Because they never existed. And without the Whispers to maintain it, maybe just everything went awry. As opposed to Remake, where because the Whispers existed, they were able to keep everything like relatively in place. But I don't know.
All I know is Sephiroth can do what he wants now. Like that's what it seems like, which is why I see now I'm going back on is Aerith gonna die in Rebirth? Because I don't know now, because I think now I don't think Sephiroth wants that, because that screwed him in the original. So actually I'm kind of like I'm kind of 50-50. I don't know. Like I think it's 50-50. Like I think she's definitely going to die at some point. But I don't know if it happens in this game. You know, I can see it happening, and you know, the same things that I felt whenever I played the original. I would love to feel those things again. I would love to feel broken and defeated and feel all the things and hurt so good. But also, like, it would be kind of a nice change of pace to have that, like, glimmer of hope, only to rip it away from me in part 3. So I don't know, you know.
I think, however,
see, that's the route I want. I want the glimmer of hope and then have it ripped away.
I think whether he dies or whether he lives, I think the end of the game is going to be batshit crazy. No matter what.
Yeah, I think inevitably people will be upset.
Yeah.
It's something I've noticed. People just do not like not happy endings.
I do.
Yeah, I know you do.
I do.
You can't be a Zack fan and not, but I don't know. I think I've just noticed people really struggle when something doesn't, like, how do I put this? I don't know. I don't know what I would compare it to.
When there is when it's not happily ever after.
Well, because people watch movies and play games, you know, hoping to get away from reality. So it's like, it's like they want, like, you know, to experience a story and things to be all good because they're trying to get away from the real world. But whenever, like, the reality of things is that, hey, people die, and like we as people do not have plot armor. Like, we don't, you know, like, every day we wake up is a blessing. You know, you just never know. So it's like, I think that's why inherently people tend to be upset with not happy endings because it's like, well, I wanted to see a happy ending because like, look at the world around me where like anything can happen. Not to get super deep or anything, but like, that's just what I think. Like, and I personally love endings like that because like I walk away feeling something and feeling like I just experienced a great story with great characters that, although ended tragically, it affected me and had an impact on me personally.
Yeah, that's what I
So,
fish for. That's what I fish for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Shaw brothers ask us, who do you think is a weak character? Tifa, Aerith, or Yuffie? I don't think any of them are weak. However, I will say, I'll extend this olive branch. OG Yuffie is a weak character. Just because she didn't get the attention she deserved. Like, she was optional. Her whole arc is a side quest in Wu-Tai that barely fleshes out her character. So I think you could make the case that OG Yuffie is weak, but the compilation...
remake Yuffie is...
awesome.
They're doing so good with her. Oh, they're doing so good with her.
Yeah, so I don't think...
I love the direction they're going.
Me too. So I don't think any of the three of them will be weak. I think Tifa and Aerith have more depth to them now than they ever did. Honestly.
Yep.
Especially Tifa. Tifa in the original, once you leave Midgar, there's not much to her until Aerith is gone.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that.
It seems to be what they're going for now. It seems like now, somebody in the chat brought this up earlier, but like Aerith is confiding in Tifa, and Tifa is the only one who's on to Aerith. Right? Cloud and Barrett are not nearly as suspicious about what's going on with Aerith as Tifa is. I think 3 times in Remake, Tifa goes, Aerith, what are you not telling me? Like, she says it. Cloud and Barrett never go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but Tifa right away is like, they do such a good job of that in Remake, by the way. Like, when she mentions, when they're talking about the plate fall, and Tifa's like, yeah, maybe they're just bluffing. No way they'd actually do that. And then Aerith's like, yeah, but what if they are telling the truth? And then they cut to Tifa really quickly, and she goes, like, she kind of tilts her head, like, why would you say that? You know?
Right.
I don't know. I just think it's really cool what they're doing. Eric the Dude says there were people that were so mad at Remake's changes, they decided they weren't even going to play the second part, which is still crazy to me. But people are entitled to their opinions, I guess. Yeah. I mean, look, I'll tell you this.
I say fuck them.
Yeah, right. Listen, I follow a lot of Final Fantasy creators, and a handful of them swore they were done with FF7. They weren't going to make FF7 content. They're not playing the second game.
That's how all these content creators are with any franchise.
All of them have come swimming back the last 6 months
with
all this Rebirth news. So I don't buy it for a second.
Dude, that's what I mean. That's with any franchise. Even with Kingdom Hearts. Oh, I was done after Kingdom Hearts 2. Then how many years later? Oh yeah, well now I'm done after Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, you know, and it's like you're gonna come back and play Kingdom Hearts 4. Yeah. Like you're gonna come back and play it
because it has Star Wars. Okay, so I gave it a chance.
You're gonna come back. Like you cannot live with your own saltiness. Where did it bring you? Back to me. FF7 remake trilogy, probably.
Oh god. All right. Well, listen, we are coming up on 2 hours. Is there anything left? I'm sure there is, but is there anything pressing in your guys' heads that you wanted us to talk about?
Well, I more so wanted to ask a question.
Let's go.
Okay. So just to clarify for me, I kind of want to just hear the logic. Where do we think Marlene heard the information about the scary man killing Aerith when she wakes up again?
The bar in Remake in 7th Heaven where the plate is falling, Aerith goes to rescue her, and they have that exchange.
So now here's my question. This is other timeline Marlene. So how do we think it just played out the same, that she was still there? Here's something actually you weren't here for, Landy, that we touched on for about half a second. How do you think Aerith meets up with Avalanche if Cloud isn't there to introduce her to them?
How do you think Aerith meets up with Avalanche if Cloud isn't there to introduce?
Yeah.
maybe this Aerith was getting the messages from the planet too, and she took it into her own hands.
Okay.
One thing.
So then how are we thinking this Marlene gets that message? Do you think she and Aerith are still in the bar?
Well, the plates.
No, because that would have happened
right?
way after.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see where Kitty's is going, because that's a good question, because like that there was that moment in the bar where like and I'm also, because the way Marlene specifically says. Mm-hmm. She said, I have to watch the trailer again. I don't know if she said that like.
You just watch the trailer again.
Yeah, I don't know if she said like when she wakes up the scary man will kill her, or when she wakes up the scary man will kill her. Because if she said
when she wakes up.
When she wakes up, yeah. So I'm wondering like,
Sorry, I've been sitting on that for like a while now, but we just kept moving to different topics.
Well, I'm also wondering because
now I'm like deeply curious as to how you would link those two.
Yeah, and then also you have to. Oh, I know what we didn't talk about.
Wait, no, my thing first.
Sorry. Well, no. This is going to kind of segue in with this, because here's what I was thinking. In this timeline, what if, because Barrett dies, Dine comes back into the picture, and then that's like Dine somehow gets his life back on track. He actually comes, and now he is the father to Marlene that he is like he wants to be. And then, because like, how else is Zack gonna meet up with Marlene if like these guys if Barrett's gone?
Because Biggs survived, he's at that orphanage. And if Marlene becomes an orphan, he's going to take her to Elmira, right? Because Elmira's right down the road. So I think Biggs, just out of being alive and in that proximity, Barrett's one of his best friends. So to him, he probably brought her to that sector and probably out of proxy ended up with Elmira.
Oh my gosh, dude. Zack really could get a band of misfits together in his timeline. That is almost exactly parallel of the party in the normal timeline. Think about it.
Go for it.
Crazy thing.
Biggs could be like the brawler, potentially. Dine could be the gunner. Cisne could be the Yuffie. Right?
You're kind of.
I don't know who would be the mage. I don't know who would be the mage. That maybe I don't know. But I was just like, it was just a thought that crossed my mind. Like, wait, he actually could get those people potentially. And you know what? Maybe everybody X'd off on that poster. Maybe that's not everybody who's confirmed dead. Maybe that's everyone who they think is dead. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe Jesse comes back in. I don't know. So, but I think, again, we said that earlier. Jesse's kind of the wrench in a lot of this.
We don't know where she is. We don't know what world she's in. It's driving me nuts, because I think if we know where Jesse is, it allows us to put a lot of other things back into place.
Yeah.
But getting back to that Marlene and Aerith, how they could possibly have that interaction without Cloud around, I could see it only being she got that communication from the planet, and so she took it upon herself. Or I can't even think of a B scenario, honestly, which makes me think maybe there's something else going on here. Maybe she like literally, it's like it's a similar situation with the bar. She just touches Aerith as she's lying there, and then she just has that vision.
It's that vision.
Yeah.
Or maybe
it could just be as simple as that.
Aerith hasn't always been asleep, right? Like, I think the reason the people are lamenting in the church is because Aerith is comatose, right? So it's not like she's just been comatose her whole life, obviously.
I'm assuming it was in that accident that we see in the other trailer.
Yeah.
Right. The whole they fail the rescue mission.
Yes.
But then I guess my question is, if that's from them failing the rescue mission, why then is she not under Shinra captivity? Why is she just like in Elmira's house?
Good question.
Maybe that's something that Zack actually does. Like, I don't know. Maybe Zack. Maybe she's comatose and Zack grabs her, brings her back to Elmira's house. Zack and Biggs. right? Because they are, when they're, I mean, we saw Zack and Biggs together, and, you know, it seems like that Zack was just learning, hey, these people are dead, you know, like here's the people who are dead. And so maybe he's kind of getting up to speed. Maybe he does end up going, maybe you will have segments with Zack where like you are going to save Aerith in that sense, like and then you bring her back to Elmira's, or maybe they're saving something like that for DLC, right? Kind of like what they did with Yuffie, but instead of like just a separate DLC, it works how like FF15 did with their DLCs, where it kind of fills in the blank spots of like what's going on in this timeline, you know? So yeah, I think that's entirely possible as well.
Eric the Dude says something here that I was trying to get at earlier. He says a lot of people are saying the Square Enix website said Jesse is VR, but it doesn't say that. It only says some of the stage play is created with VR. So maybe Jesse is actually alive there or in another timeline. And again, this is the crazy thing, right? Because if she is alive in Cloud's world, that's lacking a serious explanation how she survived. Right? That's lacking a serious explanation. However, it shows us that Zack's timeline is, well, if she's alive in Cloud's timeline, that means the whole like living of the dead realm works, makes sense.
Yeah.
Because she's alive here in Cloud's world, she should be dead in Zack's. Problem is, I have no idea how she gets from Shinra's collapsing tower to the gold saucer. But if she's dead, like that's the thing too, is like her headband and her gloves were on Biggs's end table in that new world. So maybe she really is in the world of the dead, but Biggs hasn't found her yet. That's kind of what you were getting at, Andy, where it's like, hey, maybe everyone who's crossed out on that list isn't really dead. Like maybe they're just missing. So maybe that's kind of the twist, is Jesse is missing, because they know if they show you Jesse in Biggs' world, we'll draw that conclusion right away. Like, oh, there's the dead characters. Here are the living ones.
And also in the new trailer, I was just looking at it real quick. Like it shows Jesse dancing, but then it cuts to Cloud and Baron and Red, and they're not looking at Jesse, they're looking at Aerith singing. So that could very well just be like a VR thing, you know. So I don't know. I
had another thought. In Barrett's resolution scene in Remake, he mentions they had a crew member named Nelly who people would mistake for Jesse's sister all the time. They're like, oh, everyone always thought they were sisters. So it makes me wonder if like maybe that's Nelly at the Golden Saucer.
Maybe.
And maybe there's something going on with that. I don't know.
Maybe they're twins, because it looks an awful lot like Jesse, man.
It is her, man. Like it is her.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all
we didn't
purposefully inconclusive.
I think the only thing we didn't really talk about was Dine. I don't really know if there's much to talk about there, but like that was one of the heaviest scenes in the original. And so I'm just like really curious to see how they're going to portray that in this. Like, are they going to censor some things, or are they going to just like, you know, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they'll censor the moment he gets his arm blown off. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll actually witness that. But that is a really important scene, because I think it's actually a really important scene for Scarlet. The whole Dine backstory is super important for Scarlet too. I mean, I'm excited for it. That's one of the things where I'm like, they should just play that the same they played it in original. Because like you said, it's such a heartbreaking scene. It's done so well.
It's one of the heaviest scenes in the game. Yeah. That's it. That's all I could think of. I'm just like going through the trailer in my head, but yeah.
All right, so at 2 hours and 8 minutes, is there anything left? Anyone have any ideas? Anything to discuss before we sign off?
Good.
I don't know. I just feel like I have been treated.
We've
I feel like they're giving me everything I kind of want. So, you know,
The trailer was very Zack heavy.
So many of them have been.
Yeah, but this one specifically.
This one specifically, yes, but so many of them have been.
I
I feel
also-
like I just feel so valid as a Zack fan right now. That's all I'm saying.
Same.
I almost feel like they
all
took...
the Zack Hagers are coping right now. And
They
we love to see
they can all swallow the words, the mean words that have been said about my boy in the past.
that. Man.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, but I will say, people gotta leave. Nojima needs to get off Twitter for the next like 3 months. I don't know if
Yes,
you
he
guys have
does.
seen what happened on Twitter, but like because
No.
there was
I
like
saw that.
because there was like a Clarith looking shot in the
Yeah,
trailer.
I heard about that.
Yeah,
People,
so
weren't people like
I've been
insulting
seeing
like the
people-
writers
They
and
went for Nojima because Nojima's actually
So
on Twitter. He's
stupid.
accessible, so people went to his Twitter and like we're blowing him up. And I'm like, these people are not well, and devs like Nojima
Well, okay.
should not
So
be on.
let me.
they're not. Yeah.
So the thing is, like, because I've been
hear
seeing a
about
lot
that.
of people like saying they like Clarith shippers saying they won, and I'm like, you're not understanding. He's
Yeah,
still gonna
man.
fall in love with her. Like,
don't play
it's
the-
crucial to
they
his
don't play the
development. Like,
games.
no one has won anything. Like, it's just part of the story.
Yeah. There's no like, oh yeah,
Like-
he ended up with her or he ended up with her.
Like,
No, like
you have not
he falls
won,
in
but
love
I
with
also
both.
have not won. Like, it's
And
just
that's
part
not
of the story.
and that's like the point of this whole thing is not that like, oh, who does he end up with? No, the point of this whole thing is that he falls in love with both and now has to deal with has to deal with his feelings from losing one. And like that's the point of it. It has nothing to do with like it's just so stupid. I never take
I don't play into
take
it.
part in it because it's like that's not the point of what's going on in the plot. The point of what they are
FF7's
writing.
not a rom-com.
Yeah, it's
No.
not. No. Oh gosh,
no, but
no.
so many people
Yeah.
who like the ship like to make everything into their everything's about the romance, and
Yeah.
it's not.
And I'm over
And that's
here
the-
like,
yeah.
if you Clarith shippers take away the scene of Cloud and Tifa under the airship the night before they think they might die, then I'm coming for you. Okay?
Yeah, like it's just part of the story. Like,
Honestly though, that's like to me that's the funniest scene in OG, where they get back to the airship the next day and everyone on the airship's like, yeah, we saw the whole thing, Tifa. And she just like falls on the floor like, oh my God.
This is embarrassed,
And
yeah.
everyone's like, we
Aw.
could see the whole thing. Like, ugh. Anyway, I'm always an advocate for the devs burning their Twitter accounts, not having burner accounts, burning them, because it's such a shame. Because like guys like Nojima, they don't realize how much people like us really appreciate them and love their hard work. And like Nojima, whatever you do with the script, it's your script, brother. Like I'm showing up for you. Like I'm here
Yeah.
because I love the stories Nojima writes. I love the concepts.
That's why
and
we're having this
stories.
podcast.
That's why we're having this podcast. So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know. It just seems so silly to me. I don't know. Look,
a lot of things that people do are silly.
Yeah.
yes.
Kind of just I expect it at this point, but yeah, I don't know. All I have to say is to those people doing that, grow up.
Yeah.
Legit, we got worlds of fan fiction and fan art you can go play with.
Yeah.
You know? No one's stopping you there. But anyway,
Yeah.
I guess this is a sign we should probably wrap it up. If we've descended
Good
into
call.
shipper talk, I think it's time to wrap. I think it's time to close this one out. But before we do, I've included all your guys' links in the description like I always do. But maybe before we sound off, let people know what you guys got coming up with your content, and then we'll let the good people go. Go in alphabetical order,
Ladies
so there's
first.
not the awkward silence.
Oh, just kidding.
Go ahead.
First. Who? Me?
It's unavoidable.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
ladies first.
Alphabetical.
Yeah.
Gosh, I hate going first. Hi, I'm KittiesinMitties. Recently I've been playing through Fire Emblem and Persona 5 for the first time on stream, both of which have been amazing. We're coming up on the end of Persona 5 Royal content,
Literally
which is big.
this week she's finishing it. So
Yeah,
you
which
guys
is
should be
big.
there.
Later tonight, I'll be playing more Fire Emblem 3 Houses. If you're into that, we're doing that. I've also been playing through the Kingdom Hearts 3 data battles on Critical Level 1. So that's me. That's what I've been doing. I'm around on Twitch.
Yeah, my name's Andy. I'm a variety streamer. I do all kinds of stuff. I kind of just make content on whatever the heck I want. Yeah, I love Kingdom Hearts. I love Crash Bandicoot. I just put up a big Crash Bandicoot video I've actually been working on for a very long time, the Dev Relic Experience. That's on my channel. You can go check that out if you're interested in it. Yeah, I'm currently playing Ocarina of Time for the first time on stream. Tonight, I will be taking on the dreaded Water Temple. So that's happening tonight. Yeah, so I'll be doing that tonight. I'm also playing through Fire Emblem for the first time, and we're doing a platinum trophy run of Birth by Sleep as of right now. I do have more Zelda games planned to play in the future, and at some point close to Rebirth season, I am going to be replaying FF7 remake on hard mode. I like a good challenge, but also like I want to revisit the game and kind of talk about these things that we're talking about now, so that it's fresh right before Rebirth comes out. So if any of that interests you, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube, and yeah, that's about it.
Bring it home, Lance.
I'm Lance, and I am a master, and I do a lot of Kingdom Hearts challenges. I also enjoy Final Fantasy, obviously, and Pokemon. And myself and some friends are raising money for the Starlight Children's Foundation. The name of the event is called Starlight 7. That was obviously inspired by Final Fantasy 7 because it was a 7-day fundraiser. But a lot of fundos wanted to fundraise after that, so we have some people who are still fundraising for Starlight now, and we have raised as a team $4,400 for Starlight. If that's okay, Landy, would it be okay if I posted a link to my campaign?
Do it right now.
Thank you, appreciate it. Oh,
I'll put it in the description too if you want.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate you, King. But yeah, I'm doing that, and one of the milestones was if we reached $2,000, I would have to play KX2 FM on a PS2, the original version, and I'm going to start that this week.
Let's go.
Cool.
Exciting stuff all around. You guys, if you're a fan, look, if you're watching the show, you know who I am. I don't need to say it. But if you want to follow them, if you haven't already, which would be frankly insulting to me. But anyway, their links are in the description. Go ahead and give them a follow. Guys, thanks so much for coming on. Love doing this. We'll have plenty of FF7 to talk about.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, it's my
so
pleasure.
Fun.
If you're on Twitch, stick around. Let's see. We're going to rate Sonny Novus.
Let's go.
We're going to rate Sonny Novus over on Twitch. So
my boy.
Live all day.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody. More FF7 on the way. Lots of content coming this week on the Lodge. But thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all in the next one. Peace.